Aloha and good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, July 30th, 2024, and the time is 6:04 p.m. Will the meeting of the Committee on Planning and the Economy please come to order? I would like to welcome committee members, Vice Chair Cordero and Council Member Say, and of course, Chair Waters. Tonight, we are holding a special Planning and the Economy Committee meeting here at Honolulu High School in their library, located at 2825 Alailima Street, to receive feedback and information from the communities in Council District 7 on the revised Primary Urban Center Development Plan, Bill 24-2024, which will guide development from Kahala to Pearl City. This meeting will focus on planning for Councilmember Vice Chair Cordero's District 7. There will be a short presentation by the Department of Planning and Permitting on plan highlights and focal points for District 7, followed by public testimony and discussion. Members of the public may provide verbal testimony here in the Honolulu High School Library, but this is a special in-person meeting, not a remote meeting by interactive conference technology, so virtual testimony will not be available. Before testifying, each person shall state their name for the record and will be limited to a 1-minute presentation. All persons who have registered to testify will be called upon first. At the sound of the buzzer, please conclude your remarks promptly. Persons who have not registered will be given an opportunity to testify following the registered speakers. Written testimonies, including the testifier's address, email address, and phone number, will be available to the public as described on the posted agenda. As a courtesy, please turn off all cell phones for the duration of this meeting. Thank you. Restrooms are located next door in Building G, and as a reminder, there is no food or drink allowed except if it is bottled or covered. Moving to agenda item number 1. This item is for discussion only. Bill 24-2024. This bill would repeal the existing Primary Urban Center Development Plan, Chapter 24, Article 2, Revised Ordinances of Honolulu 2021, and adopt a new Article 2 incorporating the newly updated plan. At this time, I will now turn the meeting over to Vice Chair Cordero, who represents Council District 7, who will also introduce her district.
Okay, now I can. Aloha and good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. Before we start, I would like to welcome my fellow council members to my Council District 7. We are in the middle of my council district, which encompasses Kapalamakai, Kalihikai, Kahawiki, Maliola, Mapunapuna, Moku Mokuwea, Moanalua, Alia Pa'akai, Ahua, Alia Manu, Kapu Kaki, Kapua Ikaula, Halawa, Aea, Kalawao, Moku Ume Ume, and Waimalukai. As a member of this council, this committee, and our community in my district, it is vital that we as a legislative body hear from our neighbors. And so it's great to see a lot of the discussions that we've had from 2017 and 18. We've had about 4 in our district relating to the Primary Urban Center Development Plan. So this is a live document of all of our feedback from Kalihi to Aea. And fast forward today, that plan has transformed from posted, putting thumbtacks and different kinds of things, hearing our feedback to this plan. So know that our neighbors from Pearl City to Kahala and all of us here in between have provided the feedback for this plan. And know that this is the beginning of our discussion when we talk about the Primary Urban Center Development Plan, now that it's before the Honolulu City Council. We are the first meeting, but that doesn't mean our discussion with my neighbors end here. It only begins from now on until we make our further amendments and as this bill moves forward. And now we have with us tonight representatives from the Department of Planning and Permitting. We have Noel Cole, DPP Planner, as well as Dino Wong, DPP Chief planner, and they will be giving us a brief presentation of the plan and focusing on highlights and focal points pertaining to Council District 7. For your information, the presentation is also available online, as I know there's a few members of our community watching online, as available as Departmental Communication 57 2024. With that, we will have our representatives from the Department of Planning and Permitting before us for the presentation.
Thank you. Oh, not sure if this is on. Is it? Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Cordero and Councilmember Kia Aina, Say, and Waters. Thank you for having me. Hello, community members. So I will be giving a brief presentation on the plan, what the plan is, what our process has been, some of the highlights of the new plan, and then ending with some of the specific content that deals with District 7. Next slide. So the primary urban center plan update was done by the Department of Planning and Permitting and a consultant team led by Ramey & Associates between late 2017 and 2023. In this presentation, I will briefly cover the role of the development plans in the city's planning process, major themes in the updated PUCDP, the project timeline and outreach process, and specific themes related to District 7. Next, thank you. So the general plan as well as the development plans are mandated by the city charter, and the revised charter gives the specific detail to the purpose of the general plan and development plans. So in short, the development plans implement the broad policies and guidance of the general plan, and it sets the stage for further implementation through zoning and other ordinances. Next. Oahu has 8 planning regions. Each has its own development plan, and some of those are actually termed sustainable communities plans. The primary urban center and EVA are termed development plans because those are the regions that are growing, and the rest of the plans are termed sustainable communities plans because there is some amount of growth, but those are more stable communities and more rural areas as well. The general plan is the guiding document for the city and county, and it's the first tier of the city's planning system. And then below that comes the development plans and sustainable communities plans. And the development plans also set the stage for things like functional planning, so infrastructure planning, and the implementing ordinances such as zoning and capital projects as well. Okay. So while the development plans are policy documents that provide guidance on future growth and development, it's always in the context of many other factors that together create the bigger picture of our communities. So you can see on the slide here some of the many issues that, while these plans are dealing with land use and development, they're also dealing with many other facets about where and how to grow and what's appropriate, what are the desires of the community, and how to best care for our resources as well. Some of the themes of the plan, the broad themes, are housing and affordability and the types and conditions of housing, mobility improvements, including rail, bus, and bicycle, and roadway facilities, setting priorities for major infrastructure projects, creating more livable and age-friendly communities, the location and amount of new development, planning for climate change and sea level rise, creating a diverse economy, and also preserving and enhancing our open spaces and parks. So this just shows the sort of big blocks of time the plan has been in development. This region is our most populous plan area. It's over 440,000 residents. And so the plan has been in development since late 2017. The last plan was adopted in 2004, so it's been a long time between updates as well. So our research and initial outreach phase was from late 2017 through 2019, and that included stakeholder interviews, a statistical survey that was sent out through all zip codes of the primary urban center. We had many public outreach events, and we also did a series of research and reports. We had a plan drafting phase from 2020 to 23, and we had policy workshops as a part of that. And the proposed plan was the public review draft was released, and we receive a lot of feedback from that process. People are able to write in directly and give us line edits. And so then the proposed plan was released in October of 2023. And we're now going through the adoption process and adjustments there. And so it's already gone through Planning Commission, and we're now at City Council. So again, in the research phase, we did quite a lot of groundwork to look at what has changed in the region since the 2004 plan, what are the major issues, and what are areas that need more focus. So we did papers on housing trends, economic development, natural resources, and open space infrastructure. And two new items that were added for this plan update were public health trends and sea level rise and climate change. So we had an extensive community engagement program that included in-person and virtual engagement. Fortunately, most of our, and it just ended up this way, that most of our initial outreach was between 2017 and 2020, right before the COVID pandemic, and then we were in the plan drafting phase. So we were fortunate to have a lot of in-person events at the beginning of this process, and we also did a lot of pop-up events to try and hear from folks who don't always come out to the evening meetings. So this gives you a little snapshot of the engagement that we did. So we have our statistical survey, we did stakeholder interviews, we had 30+ pop-up workshops and a number of other presentations and workshops. Next. So the approach to growth in the PUCDP document is mainly to focus the majority of growth. So this is coming after, many years of transit-oriented development, and that's something that we needed to integrate into this plan as well. So again, it's focusing the majority of future growth near transit and daily services. So that includes the TOD neighborhood areas, but also if you think of that in terms of bus and other transit supportive development near our existing commercial corridors. So that was sort of the approach to looking at areas that were appropriate to growth, as well as focusing on areas that are outside of the sea level rise exposure area, and promoting sustainable development practices that are suited to the climate. So we developed place types in this plan. So actually, per the charter, the zoning or the land use maps and place type maps in the development plans are not meant to be the same as the zoning maps. So these are more visionary maps. They're looking about 20, 25 years out into the future, and they should be distinguishable from the zoning maps. So the way that we achieve that is to create something called place types. So these aren't one-to-one to zoning, but it basically is showing residential, low to high intensity, and commercial areas, which are often now mixed use, low to high intensity. And then also our traditional single use areas such as institutional or industrial. Next slide, please. So you can see what this looks like in the plan. It's a scale. So on the top is the residential intensity going from single family up to high-rise multifamily. And then at the bottom are the corresponding commercial areas that go with each of those place types. And then the highest intensity all the way to the right is the downtown and our resort area. There's only one of those in the PUC, and that's Waikiki. So what that looks like in the plan, so this is, for example, Urban Corridor Center. So this is the highest intensity mixed-use commercial type area outside of downtown. So this would be your Ala Moana, for example. So it's showing what the streetscape looks like, its relationship to transit and the sidewalk. It's showing the types of density and intensity and uses you can expect in the area. And so we have those for all of the place types. So that is contained in, so all of the growth topics are in the first 3 chapters, dealing with the growth, the placemaking and character, and also focus areas, which I'll get into a little bit later. Next. And then we have new chapter topics. As I mentioned before, healthy communities, which looks at green building, encouraging green building and appropriate passive siting for buildings, and also making the community more age-friendly for all ages and abilities. A water resources chapter, which looks at water as a single resource, and this is really feeding into a lot of work the city has done recently on planning at the Ahupua'a scale and as a one water lens, so looking at how to make our entire system and water infrastructure for all types of water more resilient. And then sea level rise and coastal hazards planning, which, as we all know, is getting to be more and more of a serious issue. So we have tried to lay, the plan is long, I will say that. We tried to make it a little shorter, but we did try to lay it out in such a way that it's easy to find what you're looking for and to follow along. So we have a very standardized format where you have the broad goals for each chapter, they're followed by policies, and then they're followed by actions. So those are the ways that we may try and achieve some of these goals and policies over the plan horizon. Next. And each of the chapters also includes a map, because a picture is worth 1,000 words, and almost all of the things that are described in the plan do have a place, very specific place-based component. So we added a lot more maps than we typically have. And we also added indicators. And so those are not necessarily, metrics, but they're things that will help us determine if we are broadly reaching the goals in the plan. So, for example, this is from the mobility and connectivity chapter, and the indicator, one of the indicators is vehicle miles traveled. And so that will let us know if we are moving towards more people using transit and more people living in walkable locations. So I'm going to run through quickly a few of the map resources that are in there. I won't spend much time on these, but this is from the Coastal Hazards chapter. This is showing the sea level rise exposure area. So it's looking at basically areas that are subject to coastal erosion, groundwater inundation, and also just regular bathtub flooding over up to 3.2 feet, which was the guidance for the end of the century. The light blue goes all the way up to 6 feet of sea level rise, and that is looking at a high scenario and also what's appropriate to be looking at for infrastructure and very long-lived projects with low risk tolerance, and that sort of thing. So we have, this doesn't give you all the solutions in this plan, but this is taking a step forward and looking at all the edge conditions in the area, you know, what's armored, what's natural coastline, what's wetland, what's engineered beach, and what are the solutions that are likely appropriate for each of those types of areas. This is the housing framework map that's showing, among other things, it's showing planned housing development, it's showing areas that have a large amount of aging multifamily properties that we expect to redevelop perhaps over the timeline of the plan. So making sure that those areas stay affordable. And it's also showing the state projects as well. Next, got parks and open space. I'm going to speed this up a little. And views. So we have corridor and panoramic views. And the area is so large that we split the maps into east and west for each of these. So some of these were showing east, some were showing west. Okay, so now we get to highlights for Council District 7. You can see that there are 5 council districts. Well, the plan area is Waialaikahala to Pearl City, so there's 5 council districts, 2 of them partial, so 4 and 8 partial, and the rest are entirely within the PUC. And the development plans are not meant to be special area plans or neighborhood plans per se. They're really kind of a step back from that. They're looking at the big picture. So they're not trying to take the place of a, you know, more focused community plan, but it does contain some level of guidance. So some of the things that you might find referenced in a development plan are things like the TOD neighborhood plans, which are special area plans. We also have a number of special districts, so those standards get wrapped into the development plan. And then also, as part of this plan itself, we added something that's called focus areas. So these are areas, and again, it's not meant to be a special area plan, but it's just calling out some of what we heard while we were developing this plan in areas that maybe haven't had planning initiatives for a long time, some of the streetscape elements and needs that some of those areas might have, and also highlighting the areas like the TOD areas that we know are going to see quite a bit of change. So running through what's in Council's District 7. So again, these are the special districts or special area plans already completed that are referenced in the PUCDP. So we have the Kalihi area TOD plan, the airport area TOD plan, and the Halava area TOD plan. And they all, to varying degrees, envision housing and retail and walkable environments near rail. There's also the IAEA Pearl City TOD plan, the new Aloha Stadium Entertainment District, or NASED. So that is actually a state initiative. That's the Stadium Authority and state DAGs, and they are developing a plan to redevelop the stadium and as an anchor and with again, a neighborhood and retail in proximity. And then there's some plans that are older, but that we know the community still reference. So we're calling those, so they're maybe not totally aligned with some of the newer planning, but they still have, very salient elements that get pulled through. And so we've got the Pearl Harbor Historic Trail Master Plan here from 2001 and the Kalihi-Palama Action Plan from 2004. So the core principles for those plans were improving recreational bike access to the shoreline and activity centers via the Pearl Harbor Historic Trail. And then for the Kalihi-Palama Action Plan, it's reversing the infrastructure neglect in Kalihi and increasing opportunities for business and public gathering places and for community connection. So the focus areas in the plan itself, I'll run through. There's 5 of them on 2 slides. So the Kapalama TOD area is a TOD transformation district, meaning that the area is going to see more transformation than most. It's going to redevelop from vacant and underutilized land to support a new TOD neighborhood. And one of the things to remember about that area is there needs to be a lot of investment in resolving some of the drainage issues and sea level rise issues as well. So that area is a big infrastructure project. The North King and North School Streets, we're calling that a Midtown corridor. That area, the guidance there is to buffer pedestrians and cyclists from fast-moving traffic, to preserve historic landmark buildings, to stimulate limited infill with improvements, and to improve the streets and sidewalks. The other 3 focus areas in District 7 are Halava, which is another TOD transformation district, Aiea Town Center and Lower Ka'ahumanu Street, Pearl Highlands, and Pearl Ridge, which is also along the rail alignment. So for Aiea Town Center and Lower Ka'ahumanu, the emphasis there is infill gradually over time with appropriate low-intensity mixed uses and preserving the low-intensity neighborhood serving character. And those other 2 districts are, they're not quite, they're not in the core of the urban center, so they're a little less intensive, but they are envisioned as mixed-use TOD neighborhoods. So that is what we have for you. We'll end there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cole. First up, members, if there's no questions first, I'll go first. Okay. I would like members to go first. Okay. Okay, Council Chair Waters.
First of all, thank you folks for being here tonight. This is really important. This plan basically guides growth for our island going forward. Well, just a little bit of background. We have the general plan, correct? And the general plan outlines 2 areas on the island that we want to direct future growth to. One is in the EVA district, and it's called the EVA Development Plan, and the other one is the Primary Urban Core Development Plan. Yeah, and then the rest of the island has sustainable communities plans, such as East Honolulu Sustainable Community Plan, Ko'olauloa Sustainable Community Plan, and others like that. But basically the general plan is saying that they want to guide future growth in the urban core and EVA. So this is the Urban Core Development Plan. So DPP, can I bring you back up to answer a couple questions? So far everything I've said is accurate, right? That this plan is to guide future growth on our island. And this is the primary urban core development
Center.
plan.
Urban center.
Urban center.
Yes, but everything
Okay.
else was correct, yes.
Okay, and that's basically from Kahala on the east side of Oahu, going along town, Waikiki, downtown, Manoa, all the way to where?
Pearl City.
Pearl City. Okay, so right here where we are today is right smack in the middle of that, and it's District 7. Within the primary urban core development plan, you have maps, right? And I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for people to understand, right? They include maps, right? And the maps are color coded, right? I know
Yes.
you're nodding, but for
Sorry.
people
Yes.
behind you, yes, and the people watching, but they're color coded. Each color represents a density level, yeah? Basically.
More of an intensity level, so that could be height and or density. So sort of kind of high to low, yes.
Yeah, and just the color that stands out the most is red. Yeah, because red is the highest density level, meaning you can build high and wide, right? I mean, I'm making it really, really general at
Yes.
this point.
The only red district, as I mentioned before, is actually downtown.
And the highest density level, again, is downtown and resort, right?
Yes.
And then the lowest density level is called Valley Ridge, right?
Yes.
And then you have a bunch of different density levels in between, like near town, as an example,
Yes.
town, urban. And I think what might be super helpful for the community to understand, I know it's on this map, but you see how small it is. I don't think people can even read it.
Mm-hmm.
So just in future meetings, if we could blow that up so people can see exact, and it's in the actual plan, but when we come into a particular community, I think it might be helpful to have this little itty bitty box made into a whole page so people can see that.
Okay.
Anyway, but it also would be helpful to define each of the colors. Yeah, like I know you define in one of these pages what downtown resort is, right? The highest density. But as it relates to this community, I think they'd want to know exactly what colors are on the maps for their district. And is this map accurate? Is this the one for this particular district, council district?
Yes.
Okay. And again, we might even want to break this out into different pages so that each different community in District 7 can see it. And again, folks, it's actually in the plan itself. If you folks have it, it's like this thick. But when it comes to each particular community, I think it might be helpful to break that out, to see exactly neighborhood by neighborhood what the city is proposing to do for your neighborhood. Yeah? And it can be divided by street. So in my district, that's what I'm looking at, right? Neighborhood by neighborhood, street by street, what the city is proposing. And I think that's what you folks are interested in, right? You want to know exactly what the city wants to do in the future, right where I live, as an example. So I'm just suggesting that in the future, define what each of these colors mean so that when people look at a bigger map, they can tell exactly what you folks are talking about.
I will also say, as we said before, that it's not meant to be at the granular level of a special area plan. So this is looking more at the general uses, like what is the prevailing use, you might say. So it's not going to show you block by block, street by street.
Well, in some instances, it actually does show block by block and street by street, or at least neighborhood by neighborhood.
Yes.
Right, and I understand that this is just a guiding document, but this is something that the city council and your department actually uses when people come and apply for a
Yes,
building
that
permit.
is true.
We
Yeah.
could always go back and say, well, the plan says this. That's why this plan is super important for people to comment on it now, right? Because you don't want a developer to come in and go, well, I'm just following the plan, right? So I understand that it is not supposed to be at the granular level, but again, for the community to understand exactly what the city is proposing. And then, by the way, just correct me if I'm wrong, ultimately, you folks are suggesting this to the city council. We can amend this,
Yes.
right? And we can amend it based on your suggestions. Yeah. So, thank you, Chair. That's basically all I want to point out, how important this is, and to get those maps. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Council Chair. Members, are there any other questions? Councilmember Say. Councilmember Say.
I just have one question.
We're online, so we have to.
Testing. Okay, it's on. I just have one question. Is the public policy in regards to what we have here as the types of scales of the PUC places? You have 30 stories plus. For the general public out there, they always get mad at us because we're all going 40 stories. Should we make a policy that we keep it at what you have it here, 30 stories, and you force the issue with the development plan? Dina?
I would say what's in the development plan in terms of stories, they're more like guidelines, and a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, but you do know, like when, for example, TOD projects come in, they can exceed height limits and things of that sort. So it is a guide on the form of development that is envisioned for that area.
For the general public listening out there, what is the definition of TOD?
Oh, TOD are...
Sorry, Dina, can you please identify yourself?
Oh, yes, sorry. Dina Wong, I'm with DPP. I'm the Chief Planner for the Planning Division. So TOD stands for Transit Oriented Development. And
Yeah, continue.
so if a project were to come in
Yes.
in a TOD special district, they could potentially exceed the density and the height limits per the zoning district if they provide community benefits such as affordable housing, open space, circulation improvements, things of that sort.
No, I'm just going back to Planning 101, right, for the general public
Sure.
at large. That's why if the public understands what TOD is, which is along the corridor of the rail system, these particular projects will be a part of it if the developer wants to build it. So I hope you folks can understand that. So as an example, I was, throughout my career, I read the story about that drive-in. The drive-in that's not a drive-in today, but a vacant property with a particular development for the old-timers who are in the audience. Huh? Is it Cam Drive-In?
Cam Drive-In.
Okay. So that's adjacent to the TOD now?
Yes.
So that can go up to 40 stories.
That project, it did have a development agreement in place, which I believe expires this year.
Okay, that's for the council to know. You say these are the specific projects. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any other questions? Councilmember, Committee Chair Kia Aina.
Can you answer a question relating to FEMA flood maps? Will the revised flood maps be coming out soon? And if the answer is yes, how will these maps affect the development of this plan?
We would have to take that back. I don't know the exact timing on the...
Okay, but
FEMA map,
it's
of
kind of
course.
important, right? So if you could follow up with that, and then, with the time frame, as you know, we're having several field hearings, but I anticipate, in addition to the field hearings, the latest will be in September. Then I'm going to bring it before the committee 2 times, and so if you could call FEMA and get an answer so that we know, because it would be a shame if it was about to come out and we didn't have it readily available to impact the manner of how we're considering the plan, okay?
Okay, sure.
Thank you, thank you, Committee Chair Kia Aina. Members, if there's no other questions, Vice Chair would like to ask a few questions, or a good number of questions. I do note that our meeting is supposed to end at 7:30, but I'll do my best to ask concisely, and if you could respond concisely. And I also understand that beyond the outside community hearings, that we can also be discussing this when we take up the amendments too, right? Is that correct? Thank you, Chair. First off, I would just like to understand, and would you be able to share with the committee and community how we have decided the different growth projections that are listed in the plan?
So the DPP prepares a constrained growth projection through our annual land use plan, and that is showing growth guided by the general plan and also plan projects that are known and pipeline projects that are known. So the to account for the variables from the additional capacity with the TOD zoning. So TOD also has a set of projections that are a bit higher because those are market-based projections, not necessarily the ones that DPP uses all the time. So what we strove to do is to kind of show a range of, rather than coming up with a third number that we thought was most realistic, we looked at a realistic range based on the market projections, the more constrained PUC, DPP projections, and then also feedback from our land use workshops.
Okay, thank you. And then in comparison to the 2003 or 4 plan and the projections stated for 2025 from that future time, would those projections have fared out pretty accurately? Or do we not compare that?
We just came out with our new projections through 2045, and I believe when you go back in time, the projections have been pretty spot on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next, my question is, how is it determined which communities are added or incorporated into the proposed development plan?
Do you mean the focus areas?
Yeah, the focus areas.
Okay. Yeah, so those were determined by, again, so the TOD areas were kind of a given because those needed to be addressed. Those areas have had recent planning and they will be seeing the most growth. The second tier of the growth approach in the PUC DP was around existing commercial corridors. So some of those corridors that are bus transit served would be more appropriate for infill to meet future demand than, say, the Valley and Ridge neighborhoods, which have a lot of environmental constraints. So we sort of looked at those areas that may not have had as much planning lately and included those as areas that it would make sense to direct some growth and have, but we would recommend a special area plan before. So say the proposal was a bus rapid transit corridor on King and Beretania and housing there, that should have its own special area plan and not just rely on the PUCDP.
Okay, so special area plans, and that's done so by DPP, right?
Usually, yes.
Usually, okay. And the reason why I asked that question is because in the area that we are in right now, in Aliapa'akai, we see that the growth here is substantial, yeah? In Moanalua too, there's a lot of older homes, and it's not a focus area listed in the development plan. However, I was wondering if I guess where the guiding plan would be, which you actually answered already, because it does list that Moanalua, it has a lack of access for healthy food, and but there's also other considerations, right, about bus lines and connectivity. And so whether it be that type of community development planning, I was going to ask where then would that development, or not development, guiding principle be, or guiding plan be for them? So it would have to be a newer or a new specialty area plan then, is that correct?
If you're talking about specific area development.
Yeah.
But the other thing I would say is that the other role of the development plans are broad principles that may be applied anywhere. So there are principles about, you mentioned access to healthy food, increasing community gardens. There's a lot of policies about access and transit. So a lot of the policies can be championed without necessarily having been spelled out in a particular area. But areas,
I think in the plan, the focus areas are called out, and that would give more justification for the need for a special area plan if the community feels, really believes that they need more detailed planning on it, or if in your council district that's something you really want. And if the DPP, we can always ask for funding in our budget. And if it's in the plan, we have justification to ask for that. And it does go to the council for approval, so.
Fair point on the budget part. Thank you very much. I understand. Okay, and speaking of plans, and you mentioned the Kalihi Kapalama Action Plan, as well as other community plans. Actually, different parts of my district have had that. From Kalihi, then they have the Aya Town Master Plan, as well as just other plans listed here. And we know that if they're specific enough, then they're highlighted in the transit-oriented development plans, right? And you mentioned that there are some qualities or characteristics of those plans that, with the reality now, it doesn't. It may have changed, but how do we incorporate all of those characteristics from a certain plan, as well as the reality of what we have right now in our communities?
could you clarify?
Sure.
Just like an example.
So if it's not specific in the development plan, and you stated it can either be in the transit-oriented development plan or other specialty area plans, how can we get them more reflected into more of the guidelines as reflected into the either this plan or future plans?
So if there has already been planning done, you're saying how to reflect that better within the PUCDP? Well, I would say the plan is now at council, and if you feel strongly as a council member that there are some things from those plans that are missing from this plan, then now would be the time to edit them.
Okay. Next, I have a question relating to one of the first goal for growth and development, one of the guiding principles. And my question is in relation to community benefits processes. Here before us we have both the zoning chair and the planning and economy chair. Before us, we've seen a lot of development, mainly housing development, that has talked about community benefits or have asked for exemptions from community benefits. And with the movement of the transit-oriented development plans, as well as this hopefully future adopted PUCDP, are we currently simultaneously working on the suggested community benefits processes so that the community can benefit more from, as it states, housing development, commercial development, X, Y, Z, and Z because of their just development in our community?
Yes, so I think in the TOD neighborhood or area plans, it talks about the types of community benefits that the community during that process would prioritize. So when projects come in and developers propose their project and what community benefits they're going to offer, that is what they should be looking for. Like, did the community prioritize housing or park space?
Okay, understood. So when it comes before us, we then reflect back to these plans and other related documents and then request that. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Next, I am looking at page 142 of the plan and the, as it relates to the urban design guidance. It states that creating engaging streets and permanent public housing, public gathering spaces where none previously existed. It states that Salt Lake Boulevard with a walkable street level retail and commercial uses concentrate ground floor retail space appropriately around central open spaces. So Salt Lake Boulevard, you know, is right out there. It goes all the way from Pu'uloa all the way to Kamehameha Highway, a very long street, yeah. And the indication is to create a mixed-use corridor and beyond the stadium from the Kamehameha Highway side and all the way to Salt Lake Shopping Center. So with that, I know this is not a zoning map or plan right now, but how do we foresee this taking place within the span of up to 2040? Because, you know, right now we're finally getting the Salt Lake Boulevard widening project done. The project, the Aloha Stadium project is occurring, still in the works. And how do we decide to include this language now versus when we work on the, well, not when we, but when the plan is worked on again in 2040 and in the future onward?
Sure. So that is more reflected of the New Aloha Stadium plans. And you're right, it's not perfectly reflective of just 20 to 25 years. Some of these plans that are included that we know about get included in the plan, but you know, that might take over that amount of time to build out. The rail line itself may take more than that time to build out. And certainly when we're talking about sea level rise planning, that has a very, very long time span. So the idea is that these plans get updated over time and we keep pulling through the things that are salient and are still appropriate. And we try to include as much information as we have at any given time.
Thank you. I have a few more questions, but I do also note that we have testimony, so I'm going to ask maybe last two questions, and then of course you know how we go back. Are we able to go back to the discussion or no? Okay. I'll just ask questions. I'll try my best to do fast. Yes, okay, all right. First off, in the plan on page 63, although not highlighted in the presentation, I actually did bring this up when we first discussed that we will be having these presentations about the preservation of Hawaiian cultural and archaeologically significant resources as a main policy. And members of the public can see that on page 63 of the actual plan. So, you know, I mentioned that we added it to the Halava TOD area. This is critical as we have these different historical locations from all parts of my district, from Aya with Lokoyao Payao, as well as just outside of my district, but it used to be in my district, Lo'ikalo and Midi Park in Kopalama. And I was wondering, would you be able to confirm and also briefly explain or elaborate on this type of policy? And once again, it's the policy 1.5, page 63. It's the preservation of Hawaiian cultural and archaeologically significant resources. Under placemaking and character.
So your question is?
Would you actually elaborate and elaborate on the policy?
So we have historic review for sites that goes through state, state historic preservation. We also have a committee now that has been reactivated for historic preservation that we are hoping at DVP will become much more active. It's an issue that's important to the community. DPP is supportive of adding more language if you have specific things that you would want to add.
Okay, thank you. And there are many areas in my district, especially in Kalihi, that large landowners own. And I know that I mentioned this in the committee before. And the plan has conceptual visions for these areas, but of course, since the city does not have direct control over just private land, right? How do we ensure that, and maybe require the landowners build up to what is described in the plan, as well as the community gets what's envisioned for the community in the plan?
So for large landowners in particular, you're
Yes.
saying? So the plan is, so some things in the plan are suggested to be regulatory, some things are guidelines, and some things are the product of
Sorry, I would like to appoint Council Chair Waters as a voting member of this committee. Thank you.
Oh, okay. And some things are like, with the TOD areas, they're incentive based. So there's a number of ways that you can try to achieve what's in the plan. So if things are not required of a particular person, they may choose not to follow the plan. But we try to build into our standards and our guidance and our incentives things that will make people more likely to follow what's in the plan.
Okay, thank you very much. Go ahead.
I
Ms.
just
Wong?
wanted to add, especially if a large landowner or any landowner needs to come in for a discretionary approval, they will have to show that their project is, consistent with what is in the long-range plans, whether it be a zone change or any kind of conditional use permit or something of that sort.
Okay, thank you. I know that I'm at 7:01, so even though I have like 10 more pages, no, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna end discussion, move towards public testimony, and then we'll head back to discussion.
Okay,
Or
thank
if we
you.
can. I'm not sure if we'll be able to. Okay, thank you. We will now take public testimony. First up, we have one registered testifier. When I call your name, please come forward to the testifier podium and begin by stating your name for the record. And please conclude your remarks promptly when you hear the buzzer. How long do we have? Oh. Please ensure that you provide your comments with 1 minute. It's 1 minute testimony for committee meetings. However, once again, I'm just, in the beginning of this meeting, I mentioned that this is the beginning of our discussion, so you can always work with me as your council member for further communications. For our registered testifier is Evelyn Cullen.
Aloha, I'm Evelyn Cullen, and we're gonna do this as an ohana. So this is my husband, Robert Cullen. Sydney Cullen, my daughter, and my other daughter.
Alicia Barboza.
So standing is just 2 generations, but we are on HOE Street in the Lavender section. So it's the I-2 zone. Our family has been there 6 generations, back in the early 30s, if not the late 20s. My grandfather bought that place and it was residential. Everybody was residential. Everything came up around us. Now we sit in an I-2 zone. I want to rebuild and remain. But everything that's been shared tonight, it seems as though we're not going to be afforded to do so. So what I'm asking is if I can have at least a spot zoning, because I was testifying back in 2017 asking that. So I've been following this for a very long time. I have my grandchildren and we still live there. They also registered. Can I still speak on their behalf?
Okay, sure.
So with that, so with that being said, I really want to rebuild and remain where Kanaka Maoli. So to get the Hawaiians out of their aina, this is like a slap in the face to us. Okay? My kids, Olelo Hawaii, we live the culture. And that's very pono for us to rebuild and remain and to allow us, and even if you guys were to just give us 1 year to do so, we would have it done. We have never acquired any type of violations from DPP because we follow the rules. Unlike our neighbors, we follow the rules. I'm on neighborhood board. I got on the board simply because I wanted to do this and to better my community. I'm on the safety committee from Nemitz and Tucson Island because I cared that deeply about the gambling rooms as well as the drug and the homeless issues in our community. We police the area. I use 311 constantly to have the bulk rubbish that's been dumped on our streets to be tended to. We take care, we go and pick up trash because we love our community that much. I'm Evelyn Cullen. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Evelyn. Oh, okay. Committee Chair Kiaina.
Thank you, Vice Chair Cordero. First of all, thank you for coming today and for expressing your family's historical ties to your aina. What I would recommend, separate from this planning process, of course, is we have zoning laws and regulations that could actually address unique circumstances. And so if you don't mind, if you can stick around, we could just have a dialogue with you. I can't guarantee anything because I am dealing with an issue in Ahui Manu that is very, very complicated about a family's agricultural property that was changed from residential historically. And so in your case, it's kind of similar. And so that would be a separate process. If DPP does not have the authority to consider your proposal, then of course there is the city council that could consider special legislation, but it's very, very difficult depending on the requirements that would be needed depending on your unique case. And I don't know if Chair Waters wanted to say something. Were you? Yes, if you could say something. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, thank you. So you said your neighborhood or where you live is purple. So I got dark purple and I get light
Lavender.
purple. But they both are not good as far as what you're saying, because
there's
purple
7
is
homes on our
heavy
block.
industrial and light purple is light industrial. So is that what
Well,
the
there's
issue
7
is?
homes on our block. There's at least under 200 residents on our block alone. HOE Street. Yeah, there's 7 homes.
Hoy Street.
Hoy Street. Come, show you my house. The termite eaten walls. You walk past. You're lucky you don't take them with you.
No, but
I
I
wanna
guess
rebuild
is that
and
your
remain.
concern that your neighborhood is designated for future growth to be industrial?
Well, my grandfather had it so long. It was residential, and by the time I realized that it changed over time, I was like a teenager. I don't know any better. I'm trying to navigate my own life, and now I'm like 56 years old. Now I'm kind of like in 50s. It kind of hit me like, oh, what are we facing? So I'm kind of bringing my kid. She's 16. She attends here. That one is 30, but we still want to stay. Please allow us to stay, rebuild, remain.
I don't know if this plan would prohibit you from doing that, but I can kind of see your concern that if it's designated for heavy industrial use areas, often separated from other uses or places, uses such as manufacturing, production, repair, and distribution. So
Well, at one point, I was paying so much property taxes that Mayor Caldwell at the time, he only paid $300. I was paying nearly 20 grand on 2 properties that I own. I didn't know what kid was gonna starve that year.
I
That
agree.
serious.
Yeah. But thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cullen, and thank you, Robert, and thank you. I've known the Cullens for a long time, and I know that this is a different process. However, in addition to that, I do know that there's discussions that we can have outside. So thank you very much. And we don't have any further registered testifiers, but is there anyone else in person who wishes to testify? Okay, Amanda, or Chair Ibanez, please come up and state your name for the record. You have a minute, so.
Amanda Ibanez, Chairwoman Kali Palama. So first of all, I want to say thank you to Evelyn and her family and everybody that is in attendance after working a long day, that we're here because our community means so much to us. For this development, this has been around for a very long time, and I've lived in Kali Palama for generations, just like Evelyn. That of which is so important, I'm here after a very long day. For TOD, that pathway and through the rail, however that looks like, affordable housing really does need to be and mean affordable for all the locals that are here and wish to remain to stay. So that of which, can there be housing for teachers? Can there be housing for city and county workers like police officers, for state workers that we're trying to entice to work in the state and to retain? So those are things that I'm interested in, and whatever kind of housing that is going to be done, let it be affordable, truly affordable for those that live here on a minimum wage and those that are state and city and county workers. Furthermore, 45 years in a whole lifetime of living in Kali, he's more than a minute. I'm sorry. OCCC, for that development to be moved timely and efficiently, because many of those inmates are there in hot boxes serving their time. Not only that, but also for those the staff that have to watch them, the corrections officers and the staff that are there. Let there also be some housing for them too, because there is a crisis for Halava, Waiava, and for OCCC workers that have a hard time paying their bills too. So something that can be done for housing for them, and to move OCCC and whatever takes its place, let that be reflective of the needs for that community also.
Agreed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions? Okay, Ms. Ibanez, Chair Ibanez, sorry. Council Chair Waters has a question for you.
Sure.
So I'm just looking at the plan. Kapalama is on page 132 and 133. You got lots of purple as well, which
Lots of
is
purple.
designated industrial or light industrial, but you also have color-coded brown, which is town neighborhood high, so high density.
Yes.
Yeah. And you got some orange, which is town corridor center, which again, urban high, well, I'll just read it. Urban highly walkable corridor center anchored by transit with a mix of building forms. Sorry, I don't have my reading glasses. Building forms including mid-rise and occasional high-rise buildings. So interesting, that's what I'm talking about. So if you identify what color you're at, then you can make suggestions to us on if you like change them, right?
All of that, I want it to be affordable housing, of which shouldn't be the median price of $750,000, and that was several years ago. So everything that you're looking at for any kind of development that's going to be happening in my community, in my neighborhood, please let it be as such. Otherwise, you're going to have me with some signs, and I'm not going to be a very happy person. Am I used to protesting? You betcha. I'm from Local 5. So I've been on the streets, and I've been doing that. So please let it be reflective of the needs of the community, or the community will come talk to you.
No, awesome. Awesome. Appreciate your testimony. You got some red in your district too, by the way. Just letting you know. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I do want to clarify that I think the OCCC part is near Town Corridor Center Medium, from what I'm looking here. Okay, are there any other registered testifiers? I'm sorry, registered. Any other testifiers? Claire, please come up.
Okay, I have prepared testimony.
Claire, can you introduce
I'm
yourself?
sorry.
for
My
the
name is
record?
Claire Tamamoto, and I represent myself, but I also represent the Aya Community Association. So I'll just read off my letter first, and then I have a whole bunch of comments that I made based on the presentation.
Okay. Can you make it concise?
Yeah, I will try. The Aya Community Association would like to go on record as being opposed to any mixed-use, multi-story building on the remaining old sugar mill site. It's one of the town center focus areas. The community's vision has been planned and was expressed in the Aya Town Center Master Plan, and it calls for land that is developed to be set aside for the relocation of the Aya Library, which just recently celebrated its 10 years, an affordable senior facility, which is set to open in 2025, and lastly, community open space. Master plans and renderings of the community open space in this community area can be found on our website, ayacommunity.org. The community has spent countless hours getting community input and bringing about this vision for the old sugar mill site, once the center and economic force of our community. And to realize this dream of open space, community space, we have waited patiently for the political will to come and make this plan a reality. We feel that when we come, you want to ask me a question so I can talk more?
Can you please just wrap up?
Well, okay, so we feel it's urban planning is not defined by zip code, and hasty decisions should not be made when you have sincere community input that must be sought. I'm a little concerned about this timeline that is in the plan, where it says proposed plan is October of 2023. I know maybe we've heard about this before, but not in any community meeting, and it says anticipated adoption is in 2024, and that is to be announced, to be determined. I think when we've done our work in community planning, the main complaint we hear, or the comment we hear from community members, is why should we come and make comments? Why should we come and make a plan? I was there for the Aya Town Center plan, I was there for the Pearl Harbor Historic Trail plan, I was there for the TOD planning. If all these plans are going to be developed and then put on the shelf, and then, I mean, what's the sense of doing it? When you talk about transit-oriented development, that has not changed. The rail plan has not changed in 20 years. Okay, so what? Well,
okay, thank
except
you.
for Salt Lake Boulevard.
So
So
we just adopted the Halaba TOD plan, so I don't know about the rail plan, but the TOD plan.
The TOD
Aya
plan.
Town plan, okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'll have a question for you.
Okay.
So let's say these are the growth projections for Aya Town, and it says that like 500 units is what it says, correct? And so would you like the plan to reflect, I guess, what is already there as of 2024? And then, once again, these are for 2040 onward, right? Okay, sorry. Okay, go ahead, Noel. Oh, can you come up to the microphone, please?
So I appreciate what the testifier is saying, and so I think there might be some semantic confusion here.
Okay.
The IAEA, this plan is supportive of the IAEA sugar mill plan. We know there's senior housing plan there, about 140 some units. The 500 is talking about
What is current?
no, what's on the map and this focus area is not just that one site. So it's talking about the area around the IAEA Town Square as well, which we would expect to have development interest with its proximity to rail within the plan horizon. So that is where the balance of so when we're saying mixed use at the sugar mill site, that plan actually is mixed use. There's a library, there's senior housing, there's a community center, and there's planned open space. That is mixed use.
Okay, so it's not prescribing more?
No.
Oh, no, okay. To clarify, she said no. Okay, thank you. Can I have you wrap up, please?
Well, I was just looking where it says Aya Town Center and Lower Cahom on the street. It says infill gradually over time with appropriate low density. So I think that needs to be clarified.
Mm-hmm.
That it doesn't. Why should it even include the Aya Town Center area when it's not? You're not referring to that. You talked about shoreline, sea rise, and so we want to protect our shoreline. So we recently went to a community meeting where they proposed a 6 or 8 story building on the shoreline. And to me, that's not good planning. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Making the clarification. Wait, oh, sorry. Just give me a thumbs up and I'll clarify. So make clear exactly what Ms. Cole mentioned, and then we'll work on the language with both DPP and you folks in the future. And that was a okay from the testifier. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify? If not, I will go back to my questions. Okay. Okay, how can you please come up to the mic and state your name for the record? You have a minute, and so when it does buzz, try your best to wrap up because this is the beginning of our conversation. I know you came in late.
Yeah,
so I just wanted to.
I came in from Hilo early to be here.
Oh, thank you very much.
I was supposed to stay there for the week, but it's that important to me to be here, so I appreciate that. I'm Kehalani Lam. I come from a family that is the last remaining one from Mahele in Aiea. I still live over the lands that used to be Lo'ikalo that were inappropriately condemned. And I came to speak about and to support what Clara said. I'm on the board of the Aiea Community Association. I was there at the beginning of all that we're talking about. When the city proposed that the mill site would be torn down, the recommendation was we build a Kmart. That's what we were told. You weren't here then, that was in the 1990s. And we gathered ourselves and brought forth the Aiea Community Association because neighborhood board supported that. And because of that, we have what we see today. There would be no plan for that if it was not for the community. We went to work at the legislature to get the money for the library to be built. We championed at the Mayor Caldwell to have the lease for the building that is coming up for senior housing. And we said that we don't even have an appropriate recreational center in Aiea. It's a mini center. So green space is really important. I think it's inappropriate to locate this much housing, this density, anywhere in Aiea. And I will submit testimony. I just had one more question. I don't see any references to Native Hawaiian important sites. I mean, you may have mentioned it before I came, but I really appreciate the council's action where you supported that in the Aiea TOD plan. And I'm very supportive of increasing green space, public space, instead of infill commercial, what does it say, near town, in the lower IS town center area. If you walk that space, you will agree there's no parking space. There's not enough parking already. There are cones everywhere. It's not even, it's an unimproved sidewalk where people park. So it'll be a real big mess. So mahalo.
Thank you, Tikahau. And Tikahau, I did ask about the question. It is a main priority on page 63. Oh, not page 63. I believe it's page 63. Yeah, 63. Yes. So I did make that mention, and it states that the preservation of Hawaiian cultural and archaeological significant resources as a main policy. It's one of the main policies in the document. And I mentioned from Aiea to Kupalama. I mentioned Loko Ia Paiao as well as Lo'ikalo in Kupalama. So I just wanted to make you know, let you know that.
Would that mean trees?
I'm sorry?
Does that include trees? Because we have two historic trees right where the town center is that were planted to honor Kalakawa's visit to Aiea.
Okay, we can talk about that more.
Okay, thank you.
That's more, I guess the word is granular than what a plan
And there's also...
hold on. Sorry. Tikahau,
also fresh
I'd like
water.
to call on Noel to provide more information. Can you come up to the mic, please? Thank you.
Yes, that is more granular, but I just wanted to make you aware of the city's exceptional tree program. And so the exceptional trees, if they have historic significance, cultural significance, you can get tax credits for them, and they also are protected by ordinance, and so you then need to get council approval to remove that tree if ever. So. No, I'm just saying they're more protected than regular trees. They have special protections, and you also get tax credits, and that's called the Exceptional Tree Program.
Thank you very much.
If I could just add, I believe that sits on federal land, and so it may not be privy to that because it's the post office, and they're taller than the ones at Iolani Palace, so they're really, really more than exceptional, and they're being hit by the parked cars now. So really important. Thank you.
Thank you, Auntie Cal. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify? Okay, members? Oh, yeah, okay. Yes.
So I did actually sign up.
Oh, no, it's fine. Please state your name for the record. When you hear the buzzer, please, oh yeah. just conclude.
So my name is Marissa Baptista. I'm here tonight to speak in support of a development plan with the potential for amendments and safeguarding for existing communities. I'm an active member of both the Honolulu and the Salt Lake area. My family goes back 5 generations. My mom's from the west side. She raised us on the East Coast near DC and then moved us back a few years back. So I would like to see improvements, and these could be based on the broad principles that you just mentioned, in our existing living areas, in addition to revitalizing other areas with little to no development at this time. For those existing areas, so those livable communities where people are actually living, I think there needs to be a priority for those communities in addition to development. I understand the need for improvement and revitalizing some of these areas that are maybe desolate, but people live in these existing communities. And so 4 points really quickly are within just Salt Lake, like we need more pedestrian friendly paths, especially to accommodate student walkers to compensate for our state's lack of funding for buses. Kids are walking in dangerous zones because the Department of Education doesn't have funding. So we need more walkable paths. 2, we need more trees and green space to support heat abatement and rising temperatures caused by climate change. Many of the buildings in Salt Lake were built before AC was a standard feature, so rising temps greatly affect us. 3, more community spaces to support our aging elderly and teens to prevent and combat mental health. Mental health is a huge issue that nobody wants to talk about until somebody's in the hospital. It's a problem. We need more community centers. Last, more resources to support the aging buildings and the associated rising cost of insurance, which everybody's getting hit with now in those condo buildings, and the required reserve projects, which are just costly. So we just need to ensure our existing communities are a priority, and as important as the newer development, I think it would also be beneficial for the council to have criteria identified that you share with the community of how you're making the decisions of what decisions are made for these newer communities or these newer developments versus the existing communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Marissa. I really appreciate you bringing that up. Marissa, I have a question relating to when you said, thank you for highlighting the question that I asked about communities that are not focus areas in the plan, but also for new development areas, especially with community centers, as well as focus on health as it relates to even mental health. First off, I know as a city, we probably don't have the best tools for that, but I think it majorly highlights something that Zoning Chair Calvin Say has been stating a lot, is that we need to partner more with the state for a lot of what we are developing, because it's not just the city as its own entity. Like, it's everyone in that community and affected by all these different aspects. So
right.
I would like to talk about that.
In response to that, I mean, so my mom grew up here, and so, old Hawaii, where you knew everybody in your community and you guys had a support system there, that doesn't exist in Hawaii anymore. There's so many transient people in and out, there's the military, so no one talks to anyone, and there's this big issue of just no sense of community and connection across the island, especially in some of these newer communities. Some of the older communities, like on the east side of the island, where people stay and they never leave, not a problem. Eva, major transient community, growing very rapidly, and the issues that we see, like I said, around mental health and the resources and the lack of resources are just going to get worse in those newer communities that are rapidly developing.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Members, any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify? Anyone else who wishes to testify? Members, we're back in discussion. Members, any discussions or last questions for the Department of Planning and Permitting or any of the testifiers? Okay, I'll continue my questions for future hearings and in a more general manner, as opposed to district focused. With that, I would like to hand back the floor to Committee Chair Kiaina.
Thank you, Vice Chair Cordero, and thank you to everyone for participating this evening and providing your mana'o on this important plan. For your information, here is what is scheduled for future community-based planning and the economy committee meetings on the primary urban center development plan. We will be having another hearing on Monday, August 12th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at Kaimuki High School Auditorium, which includes both Chair Waters' District 4 and Councilmember Say's District 5. On Thursday, August 15th, we will have at the same time, 6 to 7:30 p.m. at Leeward Community College Theater, which encompasses Councilmember Okimoto's District 8. And on Monday, September 23rd, 2024, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at Kawananakoa Middle School Cafeteria, we will cover Councilmember Dos Santos Tam's District 6. Anyone this evening is also allowed to attend any of these field hearings. As we did here this evening at all of these meetings, we will focus on aspects of the plan for the council district where the meeting is being held. The Department of Planning and Permitting will be attending and providing a short presentation on plan highlights and focal points for the applicable council districts, and we hope to get all of the communities involved as we continue our discussion of the plan. For the council members, I will be relying on you to address the concerns and comments raised in your respective communities when we bring the plan back to Honolulu Hale. And with that, I'd like to give everyone in the audience, as well as the council members, an idea of what I'm envisioning. The last hearing is going to be on September 23rd, field hearing, and the first available committee hearing will be shortly thereafter on Thursday, September 26th, followed by full council consideration of the plan on October 9th, followed by another round of committee hearings on October 24th, and potential final passage of this plan on November 7th before the full council. And so I'm sharing all of this with everyone so that you know the timeline. Again, for anyone in a specific district that is impacted, there are 5 districts impacted and nearly 24 neighborhood boards. Please work with your neighborhood boards and your council members to know where you're impacted. I highly recommend that while you can participate in all of the formal hearings at Honolulu Hale, that you contact your council member immediately, because I'm going to be relying on them on any modifications to the plan that impact their districts. So in closing, I also just wanted to thank Vice Principal Wilbert Lum and the staff of Moanalua High School for accommodating us and allowing the use of the school's library for tonight's meeting. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.